Hello, everybody. This is Eva Benmeleh, and I'm here with the darling Sissi Marie, hair-a-pist, hair extravaganza, dresser, all of the words that could possibly be for someone who is just so fully embodied in the work that she does, and also in the psycho-spiritual world as well. There's always the joke that the hairdresser is the unlabeled therapist because when we go to get our hair done at the salon, we not just come and sit down in the chair, but we sit down and we start expressing all of our deepest and darkest. And it must mean a lot to you to have that level of responsibility and also the integrity that comes along with taking care of our hair so that we look beautiful, but also that we're feeling heard and all of that. So I thought it would be just so cool to have this opportunity to talk to you um, and share that it's not just the label that we hold with the profession that we hold, because even if we're the psychologist or the hairstylist or whoever, we each have that responsibility to hold that space for someone who's coming to us asking for support and also creating the boundaries necessary for the set and setting for that. So thank you for talking to me today.
Thank you for having me, Eva. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm excited for you to share about your journey, about experiences that you've had, because I know that there's so much more to you than just the label of the hairstylist, hair therapist, hair extra. So take it away.
Okay. It's amazing that I have the opportunity to hold space, not only in I call it feminine healing when
Mm,
transforming hair. It's an alchemy, that's my whole kind of my branding is that. So I think it's amazing that I'm able to, it's like a mind, body, spirit, makeover, not just hair for my salon, anyways. Um, I feel like I was called to be a hairstylist, not only for the makeovers, because I feel like hair is just something I've done since I was 5.
mm,
Um, but it's something that I'm able to it's hard to explain. I emotionally connect, and then women are able to take some of their armor off
mm,
and to feel safe enough to express and to cry and to feel things that they're usually not able to feel, also while getting their hair done and allowing them to feel beautiful and feminine, right?
yeah.
In such a hard masculine world. So I feel like allowing myself to blend the two, you know, it just makes work not work. It actually
Mm,
makes it very fulfilling for me. Um, and yeah, I feel like it just kind of flowed into that. I started doing hair and then it became more. I started to bond deeply with everyone just kind of naturally. And then I was so curious about people's lives. I wanted to know kind of what made them tick because I was curious what made me tick most of my life. And then they would soften and they would express and we would hold space together and it was safe. And it's just kind of grown more and more. And I feel like maybe many, many, many years ago, hairstyling was a form of alchemy and healing because we're so not only energetically connected in this space, but we're physically connected. There's a lot of touching going on, and it's such a very close, and energetic also. We're sharing, and it's a transfer of energy that we carry, until the next appointment. So.
mhm. Yeah, it's never a dull moment in your salon. Whenever I walk in, I'm like, okay, well, what lesson are we going to talk about today? And it's, wherever you go, there you are. So you always end up finding your people. And it's so nice and refreshing to me to walk into another place, another setting, your salon, but be listening to similar information that I've been either working through or pondering. And then it's like, oh, here's Sissi, and we're going to talk about meditation, and we're going to talk about dimensions, that we're going to talk about men and dating and being a single mom, and then also being an entrepreneur and working through all of these things. And she gets me, and also she makes my hair look great. And so I could be in my feminine and also the girl boss or whatever, and all of these things. It's for me, it's just so lovely to have these experiences because it it, it melds these two parts, like you were saying, of being connected with my feminine, being allowing someone to talk through different sorts of things while we're working to making me look pretty and being okay with wanting to look pretty. For a lot of women, there's not maybe it's shame or some guilt, like, oh, can I be pretty and be smart and be successful and all of these things? Is that okay? Am I allowed? And
Right.
it's okay. It is allowed.
It's okay to be in your fullness of your feminine, whether
Hmm.
it be super sexy or demure or whatever it is, to be in full expression of our feminine, right? Fearlessly, with no judgment. And that inner shame is something that I see a lot. Yeah.
How do you see it? How does it show up in your salon? What do you see?
Oh, just, it's minimal, just a tiny bit. Like more,
Mhm.
more. The feminine is more. The feminine is a lot, you know? And a lot of times they're afraid to be seen. Like, no, I'm fine with just that. More, you know? Embodiment is fullness,
Mhm.
you know? So, and then I'm the hype squad that's like, no, more, better, you know? Be in your fullness, be in your feminine, be in your sexiness. It's okay. Oh, I don't want to be too much. Yes, be too much, you know? And that's kind of how I'm even living my own life now. It's not hiding so much and being okay with being a little bit too much or in my fullness of my feminine, right?
Yeah. Something I repeat a lot in my sessions is the way you do one thing is the way that you do everything. And so here we're talking about hair, I'm assuming, like hair color, hair style, hair
Yeah.
extra, whatever. And you're saying that some of these clients come to you very meekly, like, oh, just let's do just this. And you have already a vision for what they could possibly look like. And through this experience, you're not allowing them because they have permission to whatever, but you're allowing them to perhaps view, hey, it could also look like this and you could be safe. It could be okay.
Right.
How do
And
you know?
it's a felt sense for me. Everything in
Okay.
my life is a felt sense. I learned to build trust, just like a regular therapist. So I'm building trust with them that every appointment we're titrating their expansion. Little by little, we can be more. Little by
Hmm.
little, they trust me more. Little by little,
Hmm.
with everything. They can come in and say, I trust you. You can do whatever you feel is best for me. And the hair, aspect. And it kind of just trickles in that they can come in and surrender a little bit.
Hmm.
And then they actually embody more confidence and beauty. And it starts to, over the course of, usually it's like months and years, I see them transform. And not because of me, because they're able to let go a little bit of that control. I think sometimes it's a little bit more control. And then dropping a little bit of that mask too, that we can talk about later, of not being authentic, right? And not even knowing what they like, not even knowing what they feel good in,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because when you don't know what that is, it's hard to trust someone to do that for you, because you're like, no, just a little bit, because I don't know, I don't even know what I like, I don't even know what makes me feel good. So then we work, a little bit at a time, where they come in, the first appointment's like just a little, and then it opens up. And then I have clients I've been doing for 15 years
Wow.
now that, I mean, we don't we don't talk about what they're getting. They just come in and they know I'm going to do my thing, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I drive almost an hour to you. I'm like, because when I started my hair, there were all of these areas that were just dead. And I'm assuming for men too. Well, for sure for men too, but for us, our hair is a sign of our femininity. It's our
Oh,
youth.
yeah.
It's our it's
Our
not.
crown.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, what?
It's our crown. It literally is
Yeah,
our crown. Yeah.
yeah. And so there's this disconnect with some people who are like, oh, I shouldn't care about what I look like. It's only what's within. But what's within can be reflected from what's outside, and what is outside is also reflective of what's within. And having to have to work with someone who understands that on such a deep level, the way you're explaining it, because honestly, you could be talking about therapy right now, not hair therapy or anything like that, and it would be the exact same conversation. And that's what a lot of people sometimes they misconstrue, that they think, oh, only a psychotherapist or someone, a coach or is only allowed to speak about things. But really, a lot of us have this information, if not maybe all of us do. It's just different levels of understanding. And you've done so much inner work with yourself to be able to then titrate that and be able to work in that way with others, right?
Yes. It actually allows me to see myself in others, if that makes any sense. I
Mm-hmm.
have, it's like a compassion and an empathy where I see like, oh, I understand because I used to do that, or I still do that, or, oh my gosh, like it's relatable. Like I feel your life, you know, like life is tough for women sometimes. And I understand it's tough for men too, but you know, an interesting world right now for women with children, and there's so much going on. And then taking real time, self-care, you know, even to get an appointment to get your hair done. It's like, that's important, you know? And even that is like, sometimes they're like, I only have 30 minutes. All I have is this amount of time. And I'm like, you have to make time for yourself. And I lived the same rat race, you know, single mom life, running a business, working in another salon, kids, you know, it's just finding time for yourself. So when I see that in them, I see their hair falling out from stress. I see their rashes. I can feel actually their overwhelm, you know, in life. And then being able to really just hold space and say, I'm going to do your hair today, but I'd really like to support you so that you can be seen and heard in this space today. Because I understand what it feels like to not have a tribe, to not have someone support me, to have, you know, like this is your only moment right now. You've given me an hour and this is your only moment for connection. And I'm going to use that not only for hair, I'm going to use it like, you know, to connect. So,
And you're very open about your process.
yes.
I was gonna say when we're in session, when we're in hair session, um, and I think that's just so beautiful that you could be in your power by being vulnerable and sharing how you're saying, well, we need to take time. And one of the things I remember you said from the get-go, like you took like plenty or sufficient or whatever X amount of time when you were going through processes to make sure that you were okay to continue to show up for the people that you care about the most. And I think for a lot of people, it's difficult to embark on any kind of self-healing journey because they're afraid of letting people down. And the perfectionist stuff comes up like, oh, if I'm in a mood or if I'm not feeling all the way through, or if I need time for a reset, then how are they going to do it? Or who's going to take care of this? Or who's going to take care of that? And I know for especially when we're divorced or we're single moms, and then we have other things that people and things that rely on us, it could be very difficult. But you've always done such a beautiful job of talking about it, like expressing how you got through it.
Um, I honor myself and I try to share with other women how important it is to honor yourself. We get one life and it's super valuable. And, I still struggle with perfectionism and all the things still, but awareness to see it clearly and have compassion for myself. And I deserve time for myself. I deserve a recharge. I deserve a hair appointment. I deserve a massage. I deserve someone to hold me and tell me everything's okay. All these things are things I used to never give myself, right?
Mm.
Even alone time. I mean, I can go into super alone time where I'm basically hiding and hibernating and allowing myself now, like, okay, I can recharge, but I can also come back and reconnect, right? All those things I learned by just really spending time with myself and understanding what I needed to show up, not only for my customers, but for my family and really for myself. My relationship with myself and in the most humble way is the most important relationship that I have right now in my life.
Yeah.
Because I, for many years, avoided myself, and coming back home to myself has been so important and so profound. And I know it sounds so cliche, inner work, shadow work has changed my life. My nervous system was frozen solid for so many years. I couldn't even feel. I probably spent most of my life not feeling and not connecting properly. And to now be more embodied and to connect is so beautiful. It's a gift of life, I feel like. And the people that aren't doing it, it's almost like I want to share that. Like, hey, you're missing out on something so beautiful. And if you could take some time to reconnect, because it helped me so much, and regulating your nervous system. We talk about that all day, especially having children. We cannot parent unless we're regulated, because
Right.
then we're our parents, right? Or we're somebody that isn't as compassionate and loving to our children, and coming from complex, trauma as a child, I refuse to continue that. So showing up for myself is also showing up for the people that I love around me, because they're getting a version of me that is the best that I've ever been, in all aspects. And I share it because it's real, you know, and being vulnerable is new for me. So even that, is so amazing and profound, because if you haven't experienced healthy connection, when you do, it's life changing, you know? So in my salon, I strive for that because it's so important. We don't live in tribes anymore. We're all disconnected. If there's some sacred moments that we can reconnect, so healing. I mean, it really, really is. It can change somebody's day, their mood, their life. I have a lot of ladies that come back and they're like, I still remember that thing you said to me. And without me trying to wear the mask of healer, helper, I I try to be authentic in that setting. Like, all right, I'm going to share from this place to give love, not to receive, right? Um, and I hope that somebody gets something from it, because it helped me.
Definitely. It's a matter of choice. And you've made so many really good points that if we're dysregulated, then the the output, the attitude, the energy, the behavior, whatever word you want to insert, it all means the same,
Yeah.
is icky, it's distorted, it doesn't feel right for you, it doesn't feel right for the person receiving it. And then that just creates this trickle effect of relationships that are just not really jiving together. They're incoherent and there's issues, it's not fluctuating properly. There's just stuff that keeps happening where you're feeling disconnected or alone, even if you could be with someone or be surrounded by them. And when you're not used to having a healthy connection, at first it's a little weird. It's like, what? I don't understand. I don't know this. I don't know how to work this. I don't know how to do that. What? And that could be dysregulating. Um, and so being able to understand, okay, well, I have to come back. to myself or have the choice of coming back to myself, and this is a safe harbor, then I could be little by little become more available to something that's healthy, even though I don't know what it's like, and we're just gonna keep trying it and keep working through it to see where can that go, right? And
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah.
and we talk a lot about that because we're women, and we talk a lot of that about that when it comes to men and when it comes to our children and even with our the people that we work with. The more that we get to know ourselves, like you were saying, inner child work, shadow work, you say it like, oh, whatever, but it's so deep. It's so it's life changing. How was it for you, or like what are some things, or someone listening to you right now, would they know the difference between living through life not feeling, and then in this side of it where you're like so connected, where you understand what it is to hold space, to be in physical and emotional proximity to something? How would they know? Because a lot of times people will say, I'm fine. I feel like I get angry about stuff, and I get happy about things, or I laugh when I see some funny meme thing on Instagram. But it's like, there's still,
Yeah. Embodiment is totally different. Embodiment is presence, right?
mm,
Where there's no trying when it comes to embodiment. You're physically, emotionally, and spiritually present, you know? And people can feel you. They know the difference because, yeah, you're feeling like I feel mad, I feel sad, but are you feeling? Am I in this present moment? You know, like, is my entire being available for this conversation? Is my entire being available for this moment? And it's so interesting when you've been in freeze or disassociation, because basically when you're not feeling, you're in disassociation. And yes, you can still feel, I learned that. All the bad things, you know, but I think the difference is when you're embodied, you're feeling more of the good things. So you're feeling connection deeply. You're wanting to be with someone, you're wanting to speak to them, you're wanting to engage with them. You care genuinely, not as okay, I'm listening, wrap it up, or I think I'm supposed to care. So let me mentally be here, but physically my body is frozen, it's shut out, right? And it's a fine line between being regulated and dysregulated, honestly. Like, I think most of us live in functional freeze, which I lived most of my life in. I'm here, but I'm not here. You know what I mean? Like,
mm,
my nervous system, I'm getting by. I can function. I can get all the things done. I can go hang out with my friends. I can take my kids to the park, but it's a shell kind of a feeling, you know? How
yeah.
much joy are you feeling in a day? Like, really, you know? And that's, it's more spiritual work, I'm going to say, embodiment is allowing your system to feel safe enough to inhabit itself. And unless you've kind of know this jargon and knowledge, people are like, oh, I go to therapy, yeah. Or someone's like, oh, I can't believe everyone's in therapy. We all need therapy, and we all need to be embodied. We're literally supposed to be fully in our experience, in our bodies. And I think it's just that Eva is just feeling more of the positive feelings and staying there, as opposed to, yeah, I'm going through the motions of life, but I'm not feeling love. I'm not feeling joy. Or there's glimmers I'm feeling, but I'm not staying there, right? So for me, embodiment has been really, I feel my hands, my feet, my arms, my legs. Probably for the first time in my whole life. I lived so frozen since I was a child, avoidant, emotionally unavailable. And to be available for life is being in my body. So,
You've done so much inner work through your own seeking, through reading, through attending therapies of all sorts. Tell me a little bit about this last one where you were in Texas, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. I, um, I always am being called to something, you know. I'm still trying to figure out what that is exactly.
Well,
Um,
so, and I want to stop you there because that's so perfect, right? Because we have so many of these opportunities. I think that's one of the examples of embodiment when you even have the awareness of I'm being called to this, like this is interesting to me. I don't know why. I there's no immediate gain. If anything, it might not be a gain right away where I have to use time, energy, money towards something that's completely unrelated to this, but for some reason it's like come here, come here, come here,
right, it's
like
pulling you, yeah.
yeah. And there's no rhyme or reason. It's just it just is. And I think that the fact that you can say I'm being called to is that's for some people who might be wondering, well, what does that look like? It's paying attention, but paying attention is dedicating attention because when we're paying, what are we paying towards? What are we giving towards? And okay, just wanted to share that part, but keep going
No,
with
no, it's an intuitive guidance. Like I always say, I just know. People are like, "How do you know?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just know." Like it's inner guidance. It's the wisdom that you have that you don't know how to use, right? So I feel like with embodiment, you can listen more clearly because it's a
mm,
felt, you know. So for me with the spinal attunement, it was just kind of, you know, I sent it out there like I hold space. I I naturally can read a room, you know? It's probably the trauma, the PTSD, the hypervigilance that gave me a very beautiful gift that I didn't want.
mm,
Um, but I'm able to sense when someone's sad or happy or upset, or I always know when someone's fighting with their boyfriend. People are like, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I feel you. I feel your stuff, you know?" And for many years, it caused me to burn out. You know, I am recovering from burnout. About January will be 3 years that I had a collapse in my nervous system. And it was because I didn't know how to be the straw. I was being a sponge, so I was absorbing because I could feel you. I was just slurping it all in, taking it home and thinking it was mine, right?
yeah.
So it's interesting how I got called to this work because I knew I wanted to do something in the spiritual, you know, esoteric kind of realm just because it's my passion, you know, spirituality when you kind of do the inner work and you connect to something higher than you, it's, you know, there's no words and you want to kind of share that. It's in your heart, you know. So I put it out there like I know I want to do something and I would see these, you know, Instagram ads and I was reading so many books. I'm like, you know, the biggest geek in town about, you know, the subconscious mind and the quantum field and our electromagnetic field and all the case studies. And I love science, add that. So science meets spirituality. I'm in. We can prove that there's something more than the physical, right? So I get this ad, a friend sent me, and I'm like, we'll see, you know. And I remember one day just being like, open the message, like just read it. And I read it. I did like a, you know, phone call to see what it was about. And I was like, this is it. It was like all signs were go, all like green, green, green. And it was so easy. It was effortless. It was on a week I didn't have my daughter. It was super cheap flights. Like everything just kind of came together. And then like the group of women just kind of flowed together. And I do the class. And it's the gift I've always had that I didn't know how to use. Attunement.
Mm,
Attunement is connecting to someone in a way that you can feel them, right? I already do it. I already do that every day, you know? But now I'm able to do it as the straw instead of the sponge. And our teacher, Sigourney, who's amazing, she said that. I'm like, I get burnout all the time. Like it's like recovering from burnout is like my middle name. And she's like, because you're absorbing and you think everything is yours. And I'm like, makes sense. I have anxiety. I'm this, I'm that. And it's because once I connect with you, I've attuned to you.
mhm.
I've connected on a different level. And now we're sharing.
Hmm.
And unless I end the sharing, like sever the Wi-Fi connection, I'm still feeling you for
Hmm.
days. It's the empath's kind of, story. I can feel everyone. We don't have to keep it though.
Right.
So with this work, I attune to you, which I already do, but now I'm doing it in a very structured setting. I feel what you're carrying. And then I hold space for you in a way that allows you to release it on your own. Instead of me holding it and then I'm like, oh, suffocating me, I hold space through the field for allowing your body to release it when it's ready. And we've read many books and we spoke about this before, how the body keeps score, the body holds emotions, the body holds memory. It's so intelligent. It can heal itself. Imagine we're able to assist gently with the body's innate wisdom, that it can create safety, because sometimes trauma surpasses the body and it goes into the electromagnetic field. We have the different bodies. We have the emotional body, the mental body, the spiritual body, and the soul body. And they will hold energy because we're just energy, and it will hold that and it kind of gets stuck there. So what I do is I just hold space enough and it allows it to pass. And then I can release it like a straw instead of carrying it. So
Right.
it's kind of been healing for me also, because now I can feel what you're feeling and I go, oh, that's not mine. And then I can hold space for you while you allow your own body's wisdom to do its thing. And then I can release it with you. So it's kind of woo-woo, but it works so deeply. Like I've done many case studies on it now because I needed to prove it to myself that it worked. And it is profound. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, the science meeting spirituality, and that connection between the two. That's what I was saying. It's different words for the same thing. And I wholeheartedly believe, at least for me, working with perfectionism, which also means anxiety, depression, and trauma, especially with postpartum types of situations as well. It's understanding the higher meaning and the higher purpose behind all of that, and not to justify why we went through what we went through, but to give that experience some kind of a lesson that we learned, that we can say, okay, I can see it, I can hold it, I can encapsulate it versus it encapsulating me, versus it defining me. And that way I'm overpowering that as a part of my identity, not my full identity. And when we are able to do that, it creates a space for other types of releases and other types of relationships that we never would have had we kept thinking that that encapsulated and defined us. And for each one of us, it's the same process, just different kind of details. It's the same storyline in a way. But the way you do it might be different from me, a different age, a different time, a different book, but it all ends up leading to the same space of, okay, how can I become more accountable for myself? How am I showing up? How can I continue to show up? And for me, and I believe for you as well, is how do I do this so that it ends here with me and I'm not passing this shit on to my kids? And of course, there's always things that we pass on, but how do we do it so that it's less? And not in a way of saying you, my mom, my dad are the bad ones, because they're not. But how do I transmute the stuff that I have so that I'm living a happier, more joyful, more embodied, loving life, and showing that that's a possibility for my children, that they can go through it without the challenges, perhaps, that we went through, that our parents or grandparents, etc., went through, to get to that same conclusion
Right.
before, like way sooner.
Right. Fearlessly. I don't want that life for myself anymore. And I refuse to allow my children to live that. So it's breaking. So in the emotion is also the limiting beliefs. It's also the patterns, right? That we've carried, right? So in all of that enmeshment and that bubble of stuff and that energetic block is all of those things. So when you peel back each layer, there's you under there, like
Mm.
really you. So getting to that part, right? You just keep showing up. Like, I tell myself every day, I hold myself accountable. I don't care how long it takes. I do not care how long it takes. Every day I will show up. And fear comes up, terror comes up, the voices that tell you that, oh gosh, it's not even working. Like, you're still the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, there's absolutely no way. I just observe that and let it go and just keep showing up to do the work. And we say work, right? Inner work, but it's like delayering, all our limiting beliefs and our patterns that really aren't even us. And when you can see and introspect, right, as the witness to all of these things, you're like, oh my God, how have I been showing up in life, right? And then you're almost absolutely not going to allow your children to do that, because that work that you're doing is for you, is really for them, because when you change, people around you change,
Right.
so my kids have seen me crying on the kitchen floor. I mean, they've seen me reading, they've seen me in therapies, they've seen me doing the work and meditation, and they think I'm weird sometimes, but they know that I'm showing up for myself and for them, right? Because we have to be our authentic selves. We really do. To really enjoy life fully, we got to go past the cringe. We have to do all those hard things to show up for ourselves. And we've done other things too that go beyond that, but this is like the basics, like, who am I really?
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that so much because I'll be very honest, or no, I'm always honest, but transparent. There was a part of me a few years ago that was hesitant to go into I could also be a beautiful woman. I could also walk into a restaurant and people look and say, oh, I could be the one that has the pretty hair alongside my friends also having the pretty hair. And it's so superficial and vain, and it's also part of, at least for the society where we live in South Florida, so important, but also because it is becoming more fully embodied in this body that we have, in the feminine that we have. And for many people and many women, the idea that if you're a working woman or you're a mother, then you're only that, and that the rest of it is superficial, or it's vain, or it's stupid, or
Right.
it's whatever. And well, no, can you be a beautiful woman who's also smart and who also shows up and who's all of it, and respected and adored and loved, and all of it? Is that the possibility? And I think yes, of course it is, but to go through those pieces of, oh my God, is it okay? Am I all right? Does it make me whatever? It's going through those questions of that. And that's parts work of looking at, okay, well, what part of you still feels that you can't be the one that walks in and people turn around with a smile, or the one with the pretty hair, or whatever the case may be, and also hold a conversation that's a high level conversation, and also know how to run a business, and also work out and take care of her children. Like, is that a possibility? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And all that parts work, that, shadow work, is even those dark parts, the siren in the feminine, the dark feminine, she's alluring, she's magnetic, she's all of that. It's okay. And for us, growing up as the good little girl, for me, like, oh, just be a good wife one
Hmm.
day, take care of your family, and don't be too sexy. And,
Yeah.
and in the shadow part of me is like, ah, rawr, like, I want to, like, kind of embody more of that fire, that's inside of me. And the shame part comes in that you spoke about, is that part of me in the back that, no, you can't do that. You have to, no, don't show, like you said, the sexy one that walks in and everyone looks at her. Like, that's powerful. That's not negative, that's power. What you're feeling is power in a woman's essence, right? That's that's amazing. That's where we're supposed to be living as a feminine, right? That's what makes men primal, you know? They can't be primal if you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm, like it's too much, I'm gonna just hide a little bit. But really, stepping into the dark parts is authenticity, right? Pulling in the parts of me that are like, or us, that are like, don't do that. Like you said, oh, I don't want to be feminine and, be all the things. Yes, embodiment, authenticity is even the cringy parts, you bring her out and you let everyone see her too, and you accept her. And when you accept her, the shame dissolves because no one's judging her, because you've been judging her,
Right.
your whole life. So when you can kind of incorporate her into the forefront of, integrate her into the Eva now who wears her hair longer and sexy and is more magnetic and alluring, because it's okay to have attention on you. It's okay to be in your sexy feminine, right? It's like women are shunned for that. And then it's such a healthy balance because we're in our masculine as single moms,
Right. Right.
and business owners. I can be hard, very hard. I can't live there though. My system is feminine. I'm on a 28-day estrogen cycle. I'm not supposed to be in my masculine the whole time. So the way to kind of balance it is to be in that soft siren energy. That's more, gentle, nurturing, but magnetic, she's very powerful. That's okay. And allowing her to come out and not go, shh, go back. Authenticity and embodiment is really accepting all the parts of ourselves, right? And I know people are gonna be like, what the fuck? There's a reason why you don't accept all the parts of yourself, because some of them are bad. No, we label that as bad. But if we look at a child who shout out, right? Who knows what they want, they'll tell you when they don't think you're fabulous. They tell you when you're, whatever it is, and they don't lose sleep over it. They are authentically themselves. They are embodied, they are happy and joyful, and they stay true to their needs. They're not, abandoning themselves to make someone else happy. We should take notes, but we lose that because we shame those parts of us and we push them back. And then getting back into that and just allow whatever is you, just be it. And it's easier said than done because it's 10 steps forward, 5 steps back in the healing process.
Yeah.
Is it really accepting yourself? It's not easy. There's still my perfectionism, it still comes out. But the difference is, I think we can see it, right? That's a big one.
Well, I think we see it, we catch it earlier, and I think we work through it quicker too. Um, I think there's so many examples that I could give, but a lot of people are like, oh, okay, so once I do this, then I'm done. It doesn't end, but it's not supposed to end really, because there's always so much more to figure out and to find out about yourself and how you're showing up. And the more that you do and accept and learn how to be present, then the more life continues to envelop and show up for you in a way that it makes it that much more enticing and magical, because you're saying, like, back to that saying, I'm being called to this, I'm being drawn to this, or this opportunity presents itself because you're present and aware. You see it as an opportunity, not a setback, not not even something that you're just not aware of, and you just walk away from it without recognizing the importance of this coming into your life. And I think everybody should go to you, because it's just like this double love gift where, we're beautifying ourselves through your magic, and then also having these riveting conversations about life. Um, I'll put it in the notes how people can contact you, and your accounts and things like that, because it's just so wonderful. And I love, beyond the work that you're doing with our physical, our hair, also the spinal attunement that you're tapping into, that you're learning through and that you're practicing to help people heal on another deeper level. It's just I mean, it's just amazing. Like, not, this can't be the joke anymore. Like the hairdresser and therapist walk into the bar. It's like, no, they are. They are. And it's just lovely. It's just so lovely to always talk with you and um for you to show up because again, I want people to break these preconceptions that only certain type of people hold this information, and that's not true. It's the information is there, and the abilities and the possibilities to heal are available. And it is a process, it is a journey, and there's so much to it. And it's not to look at it like, oh, this was easy for her and this was easy for her. No, we've definitely cried a bunch and we've doubted a bunch, and then we've healed a bunch and we show up a bunch. So it's all of it, right? It's all of it.
It is, it's all the things.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Cece.
Thank you, Eva. It was a pleasure.
I love you.
I love you more. Bye, my love.
Bye.